Hello, everyone. Amanda Williams, MD, MPH, and I want to talk to you today about ways to curb the holiday food cravings. Now, we all understand that this is definitely a much different holiday time that we are entering into that what any of us have ever experienced before. So many people are not having big family gatherings the way that you're accustomed to. Perhaps you're going to try doing virtual Thanksgiving or virtual Christmas or New Year's or any of the other holidays that you celebrate. But what we do know is that the cravings that come along with many of those foods that probably won't go away. So even if you're participating in a virtual Thanksgiving, for example, you can still perhaps overindulge in certain foods that you know probably aren't the best for you. So, what can you be doing? How do you get yourself geared up so you are ready to go and you have the ability to kind of fend off all of those different temptations? Well, there's a few different approaches. One thing that we certainly have seen in terms of beneficial impact when we are exposed to higher carbohydrate rich foods, and we're talking about those bad carbs, those breads and the pastas and things like that. And we do know one thing that at the holiday times, we usually consume a much higher amount of these foods. So we know that there is this really cool extract that comes from white kidney beans. And it works in terms of kind of a blockade of the way that the body normally absorbs the actual carbs, which is key for a couple of different reasons. Because we know if we're kind of flooding the body with way too many carbs, what happens is that we get kind of an overconversion into sugar, and then that sugar eventually can get stored as fat. So that's not a good thing. So if we can help the body and assist the body in the proper breakdown of those carbohydrates, then this can really be quite the asset. So in our phase two formulation, this is what that product actually contains. It's this white kidney bean extract that's been studied in human clinical trials to show its effectiveness not only when it comes to that carb blocking ability, but also when it comes to maintaining healthy blood glucose levels, as well as shaving off those additional holiday weight gains that people can certainly experience. They've estimated, I think it's somewhere around 5 or 10 pounds that the average person can gain during the holidays. So 5 to 10 pounds of weight gain. So we know that those food cravings are certainly an issue. But we can also look at things like green tea extract. We know that the power of EGCG, which is that epigallocatechin gallate, that does a really remarkable job in terms of speaking to our little fat cells and helping to support natural thermogenesis. And we're talking about the breakdown of fat cells. So green tea, beneficial for that. We also know that it contains very powerful antioxidants, which is definitely a good thing when we're exposing ourselves or flooding ourselves with all of these foods that can potentially drive up free radicals in the body. So, we actually have a formulation called green tea fat burner, and it's a combination of that green tea extract, so that EGCG, the power of EGCG, along with, wait for it, a potato extract. You may think to yourself, how in the world can a potato extract be beneficial whatsoever when it comes to maintaining healthy weight? Well, interestingly enough, the way that this is actually working is there is a protein that is extracted from the potato, and it is that protein that helps in terms of speaking. Remember that gut brain connection? It does this wonderful job of speaking to our hunger centers. We have our hunger center, we have our satiety center. So if our brain is sending out the signal that we're hungry, then obviously we want to eat. But if our brain has the signal that's more pronounced for satiety, meaning we feel full, we feel satisfied, then that's what's going to dominate. And we know that this protein that is extracted from the potato does just that. It helps with that communication. So it's helping to kind of slow down that hunger, and it helps to enhance that satiety. So when people are utilizing the green tea fat burner, not only are we getting the benefit of that thermogenesis So when we look at the fat cells and helping those fat cells in terms of burning off, we also get this really cool benefit of this curbing of our appetite. So this is kind of a win-win. Now, the way that you would take this is you would take it with your heavier meals. So I generally would advise for most people, usually lunch and dinner. But if you know you eat a really big breakfast and maybe a heavy lunch and a very light dinner, then you just modify it based off of what your diet is. But one of the things that we know is if we take this roughly about half an hour before we eat, this can really alter the way that our brain is interpreting how much food we actually need to eat, which is important because, as we know as Americans, we can have this big, huge platter of food put in front of us, and most of the time, we're going to go ahead and we're going to eat it all. But if our brain looks at it and says, well, that looks lovely, but I don't think I need all of it. Maybe I just need a quarter of it. Maybe I just need a half. So, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to reprogram the brain so that we are not gorging ourselves for the most part. So, talked about the phase two. So, that's that carb blocking supplement. And this has been studied in human clinical trials to show just how beneficial it can be. I used to always tell people this is something that, even if you're not taking it every single day, this is one of those handy things that if you know, and this is, say, pre pandemic, if you know you were going to be going out to dinner with friends, maybe you should take a little phase two before you have that heavy restaurant food. If you are going to be going to an office party, for example, perhaps you should take that phase two on that day because it does such a really good job when it comes to modifying the way that the body is breaking down those carbohydrates. So we want to make sure that we maintain our good safe distances during the holidays, but we also want to make sure that we still don't fall into that category of that 5 to 10 pound weight gain. So by incorporating in things right now, like green tea fat burner and the phase two, this can really be a lovely 1-2 punch to get you through the holiday season. Now we know that there's many other things that we can add into this mix. We can certainly look at CLA, which is conjugated linoleic acid. This also very beneficial for thermogenesis, that fat burning. We can certainly look at things like 5-HTP, which helps the body with releasing additional serotonin. So serotonin is kind of helping with that satiety center once again. So there's a lot of different ways in which that you can target cravings and curbing those cravings. But the two that I really wanted to focus in on was phase two, it's your carb, targeting those carbs. So if you're going and you're having the bread and the potatoes and the pasta, this is your go to. It's the phase two. If we know that we have this tendency to maybe eat something and a few hours later we feel like we're hungry again, then we definitely want to be looking at that green tea fat burner and taking that about a half an hour before you eat to make sure that that satiety center starts to kick in and it outweighs that hunger center. That is super duper important. So, that is just a couple of little tips from me to help you through the holiday seasons. And if you want specifics as to like how should I take this, how many capsules, when do I take it, definitely reach out to one of our nutritional experts. They are there to help you help yourself, so definitely take advantage of that. I will be back with you in a few more days to talk about more wonderful formulations brought to you by Invite Health. Thank you.